Defining modern slavery. Human trafficking in the 21st century. Human trafficking is a grave violation of human rights. It is a global crime that affects millions of people. This modern-day slavery preys on the vulnerable. Traffickers exploit individuals for profit. They use force, fraud, or coercion. The goal is to trap victims. Victims are forced into labor or commercial sex. The United Nations defines human trafficking clearly. It involves three key elements: the act, the means, and the purpose. The act involves recruitment, transportation, or harboring of individuals. The means include threats, abduction, or deception. The purpose is exploitation. This often takes the form of forced labor or sexual exploitation. Human trafficking affects all regions of the world. Victims come from diverse backgrounds. They may be men, women, or children. Traffickers prey on those in desperate situations. This includes individuals facing poverty, discrimination, or conflict. The fight against human trafficking requires a global effort. We must raise awareness, strengthen law enforcement, and protect survivors. The faces of exploitation. Forms of human trafficking. Human trafficking manifests in various forms. Each form represents a distinct path of exploitation. Forced labor is one of the most prevalent types. Victims are coerced into working against their will. They often endure harsh conditions and receive little to no pay. Industries such as agriculture, construction, and manufacturing are common sites for forced labor. Victims are trapped in debt bondage or face threats of violence. Sex trafficking is another abhorrent form of exploitation. Victims are forced into prostitution or other commercial sex acts. This often occurs in brothels, on the streets, or online. Traffickers control victims through violence, manipulation, and addiction. Many victims are lured with false promises of a better life. They are then trapped in a cycle of abuse and exploitation. Other forms of human trafficking include forced marriage, organ harvesting, and child soldiery. Forced marriage involves forcing someone into marriage without their consent. Organ harvesting involves the removal of organs for illegal transplantation. Child soldiery involves the recruitment and use of children in armed conflicts. Each form of human trafficking inflicts severe physical and psychological trauma on victims. The roots of despair. Causes and consequences of human trafficking. Human trafficking is a complex issue with deep-rooted causes. Poverty is a major driver. People living in poverty are vulnerable to exploitation. They may be lured by promises of work or a better life. Conflict and displacement also contribute to trafficking. In conflict zones, individuals are more likely to be displaced and separated from their families. This makes them easy targets for traffickers. Discrimination based on gender, race, ethnicity, or caste can also increase vulnerability. Lack of education and awareness can also play a role. Individuals may not recognize the signs of trafficking or know how to protect themselves. The consequences of human trafficking are devastating. Victims suffer physical and psychological trauma. They may experience physical abuse, sexual violence, and deprivation. The psychological effects of trafficking can be long-lasting. Victims may struggle with PTSD, depression, and anxiety. Human trafficking also has broader societal impacts. It undermines the rule of law and fuels organized crime. It also deprives individuals of their freedom and dignity. Combating darkness, a call to action. Combating human trafficking requires a multifaceted approach. Governments must strengthen law enforcement and prosecute traffickers. Collaboration among countries is crucial to disrupt trafficking networks. We also need to address the root causes of trafficking, such as poverty and inequality. This includes creating economic opportunities and promoting social justice. Organizations around the world are working tirelessly to combat human trafficking and support survivors. These organizations provide essential services such as shelter, counseling, and legal aid. They also play a vital role in raising awareness and advocating for change. We can all play a part in ending this crime against humanity. Raising awareness is crucial. We need to educate ourselves and others about the signs of trafficking. We can support organizations that are fighting trafficking through donations or volunteering our time. By working together, we can create a world free from exploitation and injustice. Let us stand in solidarity with survivors and work towards a brighter future for all.